Great to see you. Okay, so we're going to get going now. I'm just waiting for Nombulelo to hook up with his sound. I'll give you a second to do that, and then I'll get started. I hope you all are having a fun and productive week, mid-month. Nombulelo, good evening to you. Fatima, hello to you. And we are ready to get started. So good evening to this wonderful Vision Life family. Great to have this opportunity to connect with you this evening. And I've been very excited about tonight because of the topic. You probably saw the invitation that went out. And we have Dr. Barry Bland talking about skincare inside and out. And that just makes complete sense, inside and out. Skincare, and how can Neolife be the solution or to the answer to this question, looking after your skin inside and out. And so we're going to get stuck straight into it. Barry, good evening to you.
Hi, Andrew. Good to see everybody. Welcome.
For those of you meeting Barry for the first time, Dr. Barry Bland has been a Neolife distributor and part of this Neolife and Vision Life family for decades. And he really is an authority when it comes to the topic of nutrition. And so Barry, thank you for joining us this evening and just giving us opportunity to listen to you and to learn from you this evening.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, well, good evening. And yes, we've been going through the various organs in the body over the last couple of months. And I'll unmute my... Okay, I was muted there, I think, briefly. Yeah, we've got on the organ side, we've got as far as the skin, and yeah, you know, it's a massive organ. It's the biggest organ in our body, and the liver is next one. So you know, it's big, and very complex. You know, we sometimes think of it kind of as the plastic bag around us, you know, that surrounds us. It keeps the outside out and the inside in, but it's actually much more than that. And as we go through tonight, you can see just how beneficial it is to have the right sort of nutrition from the inside, as well as looking at it from the outside with our amazing range of skincare. Now, I'm certainly not a beautician, and it's my skin is certainly damaged with the sun over the years. So, you know, there are things that I can do to mitigate that, but I must admit I use the range, and it has made a big difference for me from the you know, how it feels like from the outside. So what I'm going to do is just share a screen with you so that you can have a look at the structure of the skin, because it is important. If you understand how the skin is formed, then you can start seeing just how important it is to actually look after your skin from the outside, definitely, but also from the inside. So let's just have a look at this one. And you might say, well, okay, that's quite complex, and it is, and it's amazing, the skin. So this is the outside, as you can see, and this is what your hairs look like as they come out through the skin. And it's, as I say, it's a very complex thing. So all the various organs are in there. And I think sometimes we don't realize that there are muscles that actually control the angle that our hairs come through the skin. So we've got a muscle here, this one, and it that's why your hair stands on end when it's cold, when you get goosebumps. It's because those muscles are working. But let's have a look more. I've got another picture that is perhaps just not quite so complex and complicated looking. This one. So there are the different layers of the skin. So if we look at this, there's the epidermis, that section here, then the dermis, and we'll talk about some of the structures that are in there. And then lower down are the fat layers, and then even further down you come to muscle and that sort of thing. So looking at it here, if you want to look after your skin from the outside, this is the bit that you're looking at, from the top to this darker layer as it winds around there. That's all that you can really influence from the outside. So everything that's going on and everything that is actually building in the skin has to come from the inside. So along your blood vessels, as you can see, the blood vessels are along here. So those bring the nutrients into the skin area. You've got sweat glands. Now those are vital, and particularly as we go into global warming, your sweat glands are going to become even more important to you to attempt to keep your temperatures correct, because it's the sweat produced from here that comes onto the surface of the skin, and then as it evaporates off, it cools you down. So that's a vital part of actually keeping your whole body at the right temperature. And then, of course, there's the hair follicles, which are like that, and they're these little sebaceous glands. Now, those produce the oils, the natural oils that actually help to protect the skin. And they also have a very clear pH. They are acidic. So in other words, well, they would probably range from about a pH of 4.5 maybe, but probably more like 5 through until 6, something like that. But that helps to keep bacteria from infecting the skin. So just keep that in mind as we talk later, particularly with skincare, that just helps to maintain the good health of the skin, that pH. And of course, the oils as they spread out across. And then, of course, there are nerves in there, muscles, as I've said, blood vessels that are important, and then all the structures that occur along here. Now, as you can see, there's a label here, the melanocytes, that's will give you your skin color. And obviously, if you have a lighter skin and you go in the sun and you start tanning, it's the melanocytes that will increase in number and change the color of your skin that little bit. So when you look at that full structure of the skin, it really is important to make sure that the nutrients are right, that those nutrients are going to be the right sort of things that are going to be able to support the health of all these structures. So make sure, and you'll have heard me say this time and time and time again, but make sure you've got the foundation, make sure you've got the basics. So the things like the Formula 4, the carotenoids, the flavonoids, the omegas, NutriShake. So if you look at the Formula 4, for those people who may not know too much about it, the Formula 4 is the multivitamin and mineral supplement. Now, you use huge amounts here, and particularly in hot weather, if you are sweating copiously, which you should be, to help to try and keep your body temperature correct, then you are losing a lot of those minerals going out through the sweat onto the skin, and then of course they're lost to you because they're on the skin and not in you any longer. So you need to replace those. There are the oils that are important, vitally important for the production of the sebaceous fluid that helps to keep your skin the right pH, but also very, very supple. And we'll start looking at this top layer a little later. The nerves are important. The nerves, this is your interface between the outside world and the inside world. And you need to know what's going on. So is it hot? Is it cold? Is it a sharp needle coming through the skin so that your pain fibers feel it and can tell you to take your hand away? Those sort of things, heavy pressure, all of that is happening right here at this level in the skin. So it really is important to make sure it's healthy. And as I say, if you have good nutrients, which are going to be provided by the Formula 4 and the shakes, the protein, correct sort of proteins, they're all 22 amino acids to provide the raw materials to be able to build this structure, because it's changing all the time. And again, we'll talk a little bit about what's happening right up here. But the nutrients need to come in. And so you've got to have those in order for your skin to be as healthy as it possibly can be. So there is the Formula 4 is going to provide that, and the shake is going to provide the protein. From there, things like the omegas. Now you can understand that these blood vessels are very small, and you want the good blood flow to come in here, drop off the nutrients, take the metabolites, the things that your body is making all the time, the waste products, and take it away back where you can get rid of it through the liver or the kidneys or the lungs, and of course sometimes the skin, because some of those things will end up in the sweat glands and then they come out onto the skin surface and you get rid of them that way. So make sure that you're getting at least those basics. And the Formula 4, the carotenoids and the omegas are in the Pro Vitality. I mean, that's time and time again. It is just such a well-rounded nutritional intake that provides a large amount of the basics that you need. So that's the one aspect. And then of course the protein. I don't mind which protein you're using. You can use the sports, you can use the Neolife shake, and you can use the NutriShake. So those are the basics. But there are other nutrients that are important in maintaining the good health of your skin, and things like vitamin C. Now, in amongst this, there are all sorts of layers that actually hold the skin together. And vitamin C is like the cement that does that. And it's important. You know, as we get older, we tend to have skin that gets a lot thinner, and then a little bit of a trauma to it, and we find there's a bit of bleeding. Now, what the vitamin C does is help to strengthen these capillaries here. And by strengthening them, they are less likely to break so easily. And then you have so much less of that bruising that you often get in older people as that starts to happen. But it starts early on in youngsters. So make sure that the vitamin C is part of it. And then, of course, things like the zinc. If there is any damage to the skin, one of the minerals that really does assist in helping repair that damage is zinc. And that helps the whole repair process and is likely to reduce the scarring that happens when you get damage to the skin. So things like acne and trauma, those sorts of things, well, even surgical trauma, zinc will assist in helping to reduce the scarring that occurs in this whole area of the skin. The other things that it might come up a little later as well, but things like vitamin A and D are important in the skin. They're important just to maintain the general good health, but then also this little layer of the skin where the cells are formed. And it's important that those cells are nourished. And vitamin E is another one, both along the surface, but also from internally, to try and help to improve, this health of the skin so that it stays healthy for longer. And then, of course, the health of the hair itself is important. You need all of the proteins to be able to produce that hair, and then to have it healthy, along with the sebaceous gland that is producing those oils. And it's important that all of those things are there together. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to go to look at this section of the skin. So just please understand the skin is quite thick. It's thicker than we kind of imagine. And what we often do with our preparations that we put on the skin is we think we're dealing with the skin. But in fact, all we're dealing with is this epidermis. You're dealing with it from there to there. So all these other structures that help to maintain the healthy life of the skin can only really be accessed from inside, from internally. And that's why I'm saying so clearly, I hope, that we should be looking to maintain the good health of our skin from the inside. And we'll go and have a look at the outside a bit better. So if we look at this section of skin, okay, so this is that top section, that curvy section that I showed you. And of course, this is where we can, all of this is part of the product, obviously, of the good nutrition that you're providing, particularly to these basal cells, these cells that are along the bottom there. So this is the outside and this is the inside. So these cells are the cells where your skin is formed, that what we consider to be our skin, the outside bit that we see is formed. It's formed here, and then gradually they migrate. And you can see them changing shape, changing size. And if you look, this little dot, dark dot in the middle of it gradually disappears. That is the nucleus of the cell. That is what the cell directs the metabolism of the cell. And as it gets up here, that nucleus starts to disappear and the cells die. So in fact, when you're looking at me, all you're seeing are the dead cells along the top here. And it depends on all sorts of things as to how healthy that looks. And so if this is a very thick layer, then you find that the skin looks a bit dull. And because all of those cells are dead. And it's needs to be able to be got rid of, and they do. Your skin is coming off all the time. You're losing cells every time you brush yourself with your hands. Some skin comes off every time you put your clothes on. The skin, these cells are coming off on your clothes. So that's normal. The cells start at the bottom here. They are produced at the bottom here. So all of this stuff needs to be right. So as those cells are produced, they start migrating outwards. Now, that migration takes different times, depending on our age. So as youngsters, you find that cells will migrate from here and actually fall off maybe within 14, 18 days. Whereas as we get older, that period of time may take up to 40 or 50 days. And that is why our skin, our older skin, looks different to younger skin, partly why. And so it's important that we know those sorts of things, that as we deal with life, this is an aging process, and the idea is to make that aging process as little as possible. So you want to help to maintain the rate at which the cells move through this process and actually fall off at a reasonable rate throughout your life. So I think that's where you're going to be looking at it from the inside, but then also from the outside. Understand that sun affects the skin. It affects it in all sorts of ways, apart from causing things like cancer, basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, malignant melanoma. All of those things are usually made worse because of exposure to the sun. But the other thing that the sun does is it damages these, you can see these little lines here. And those are, I think what they're trying to depict there are the collagen fibers, the connective tissue. And as the sun damages it, it's a bit like an elastic. When you put it into, when you wash it in the washing machine in very hot water, time after time after time, in the end, that elastic loses its elasticity. And with new elastic, you stretch it and it comes back. With old elastic, you stretch it and it sort of comes back. And that's what happens to our skin, regardless of how we try to avoid that. And we can do some things towards just making that happen. Now, I'm going to just look at another picture that we can show that is perhaps just a little better at what happens. So here's that, it's called the desquamation process. These are squamous cells. So you're getting rid of them. You're de-squamosizing yourself, I suppose. So these cells move from the basal layer all the way through these various bits and pieces and ultimately come off. And the thinner this layer is, I mean, you've got to have that layer there to protect you. That protects you in all sorts of ways. It protects you, you know, from losing too much fluid and all those sorts of things. So this is an important layer. Don't just think, well, those cells are dead, we've got to get rid of them all. You would be very, very uncomfortable if you did. But we do need a layer there. But we also need to help those off. And I suppose this is where I'm going to make a swap and start talking about the skincare compared to the nutrition. Nutrition is going to make this whole process effective and healthy. So what's coming in from the inside is going to help to produce these cells in the correct way at the correct times, so that what we're dealing with at the top here is going to be, it's how we look. This is the bit that we face to the world, not these. So it's this bit here that people say, oh, you know, your skin's looking great, or are you okay? That sort of thing. Or you might find all sorts of things going on here. So that is where that whole process, and really, you know, Neolife has come up with the Nutrients program. The botanical Nutrients is just a process that is, it just fits together. Each single process takes on and helps the next process. And so when you start looking at it, the cleansing process is going to not only help to remove some of these cells, but it's going to get rid of the dirt that is on there. I mean, none of us like to think we're dirty. But I tell you what, as soon as you've washed your face or your hands and you are touching anything, you are picking up something. So, you know, it's a process. And so the first thing we need to do is to look at that cleansing process, and the cleansers that the Neolife, which is part of the Neolife program, either the normal to dry or normal to oily, are all basically along the same process. So the cleansing is to make sure that you have got all of the things that are necessary that help to soothe it, soften the skin, help to start the moisturizing process. And then, of course, they do have the oils and the protective peptides and those sorts of things that are necessary to start the process of not your skin looking dry and dull with these very slim cells that are about to leave, but rather the cells that are deeper, and it's these that help to give your skin that glow, that healthy looking glow. And then, of course, once you've had the cleanser, the toner, well, often the toners are alcohol-based, and it's important not to have that, because that just dries out the skin dramatically. The alcohol will actually remove the moisture from these cells here, and so your skin will start looking dull on it. So, you know, it's important that the Nutrients program does not have that, that. And here with the toner, it really is very beneficial, and it's pH balanced. Now, I was saying earlier about the pH of the skin. It's important that your skin is the right pH, because it helps to prevent the bacterial infections. So if you can maintain the right sort of pH on the skin throughout, because often when you cleanse the skin and when you start to moisturize it, you change the pH, and you want to maintain that pH at the acid level, so that you can actually prevent that period of time, which under normal conditions, if you remove it, it takes time for those glands that are with the hair follicles to produce enough oil that then comes out and then spreads across the skin. So it's important that your product is pH balanced. And of course, all of the whole Nutrients range has that basis of botanical balance and the pure seawater, along with the seaweed that is grown in that pure water. It is important. So that provides that pH, as well as other balance of minerals and that sort of thing. Then, of course, you can activate. And what you're doing when you're activating the skin is you're helping these cells down the bottom here, which those substances are able to penetrate through and help these cells to become more active. And of course, these cells being more active means they're going to be growing through here quicker. And therefore, your skin is going to be looking so much more healthy, glowing, that sort of thing. So it helps to protect the cells, it helps to plump them out. And of course, the oils, constantly, those oils are important. And of course, you can understand, you know, what do we do with leather if we want to make it supple? We put oils on it and then work it in. And, you know, I hesitate to say that your skin is like leather, but just make sure that you're putting the oils on, and then it'll be supple leather, which will always look better. And then, of course, the full-on moisturizer, which truly does, you know, get those cells plumper, so that these very thin cells have dropped off with your various processes and the cleansing and moisture and toners. But these cells, you want them as hydrated as you can, because that is what gives you that good looking cell. And that's where the moisturizer just makes such a difference. And truly, I can vouch for that. Both the serum and the moisturizer make a big difference for me. I mean, yeah, I will always have damaged skin. I will always have sun damaged skin. This has been damaged a long time ago. But that skin cell renewal process with the serum and the moisturizer just helps this process work better. So I hope that gives you an idea of the structure of the skin, how it works. And then, you know, it's not a mystery. you can say, well, okay, I can help my skin from inside with all of the things that I know are going to make me healthy, but I can also help the skin from the outside, and that, from this side down. But just know you can only go so far from the outside. And that is where that amazing range of the botanical nutrients range, with all of the benefits of the sources, and of course Neolife's amazing technology and expertise that has gone into putting those things together to give us something that can make a difference. So I hope that has helped some of you, and just know we've all got skins, male and female. Doesn't matter the color. We can make a difference for ourselves in helping us to have that healthy skin, and that helps us look better. Thanks, Andrew.
Fantastic. Thank you, Barry. Wow, that was comprehensive and just so much information right there. Thank you very much, Barry. And that's information. I'm listening to that and go, wow, okay, that's so useful for me. It's useful for my family. But what about my customers? Whether they're using a TreeNN or they are using a home care product, I learned so much information there that I can share with them as the conversation, the relationship develops, that will turn them into a skincare customer or get them onto other nutritional products that are going to assist. And the skincare industry is growing for a reason. People are more aware of what is going on with their skin. So thank you so much, Barry. I appreciate that. A couple of questions. A few questions and answers coming in. One from Dawn Botha on her teenager skin. My 17-year-old teenager is battling with an outbreak of acne at the moment, using cleansing gel face wash. It has 2 Formula 4 per day and a NutriShake and aloe juice. He has zinc and carotenoid alternate days. Anything else you would suggest? Bjorn did make a comment which was great. He said 17-year-old, there's a lot going on, a lot of change. It's not a normal situation necessarily, but is there anything else Dawn could potentially be doing? Sounds like she's covering most bases.
Yeah, pretty well. What might assist, because of course those changes are hormonal, both for male and female. Just remember that. I mean, it's not one gender. So I would look at extra TreeNN, because the extra TreeNN 3 or even 4 a day TreeNN can vary and smooth out the big ups and downs of the hormonal changes that happen. So if what she's been using hasn't kind of covered, because it's pretty well covered on that, particularly with the carotenoids, the zinc, and the big one of maintaining the pH of the skin with the cleansers and that sort of thing. But I would really look at the TreeNN, extra TreeNN.
Fantastic, great. I see he's using the cleansing gel, which is fantastic. I know this was before the cleansing gel was available when I was a teenager, and Nola would say PCC to maintain the pH balance of the skin. Yeah, totally. Okay, good. Thank you, Barry. Another question from Dawn. When my husband has a particularly dry skin, when it gets really scaly, he consents to using the hand and body lotion. You guys on Joburg, you guys need hand and body lotion in bucket loads.
Gallons.
He's using the shower gel, which causes less dryness. Would you up the omega-3?
Look, again, all of the oils. So it might be that it's a bit of a trial and error. I mean, you go along to your dermatologist. I'm sorry, go along to your dermatologist, and he will say, okay, try this. Come back and see me in 3 months. And you come back and see me in 3 months, and I say to you, has it helped? Yeah, it's fine. Fine, carry on. No, it hasn't helped. Okay, try this. Come back and see me in 3 months. It's a trial and error deal, unfortunately. And so it could be omega, it could be treonine, it could be A and D, it could be vitamin E. All of those are potential change makers for an individual. It's no one size fits all, unfortunately.
So trial and error, but the key there is come back in 3 months. Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you look at how long it takes. I mean, that 14 days to 18 days for a youngster. We're now talking once you get to 30 or 40, that's taking longer. And so you just want to take the time to see if there's a change. It's not take it today and you've got rid of it tomorrow.
Really? That's what we want though, Barry.
Oh,
That's what we want.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Good. Okay. Learning the art of patience. Okay. Another one, which I think this affects quite a few people, again from Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. What would you recommend for eczema?
Trial and error. It really is. But mostly the first thing I would offer is omega-3. Every single time I would look at omega-3 first. For a number of reasons. It improves the blood supply to the skin and will probably make a difference in that way. But also it is just one of the oils that is used regularly in the skin, and I would look at that. But it can be vitamin E, it can be A and D, it can be the carotenoids. I mean, with eczema, again, it all looks the same, but there are so many layers where there might be something missing that make up the skin. There's so many, when I say layers, I'm talking about metabolic layers, chemical reactions that need to go in to make up healthy skin. And if this one's missing in one person, they need vitamin E. If this one is missing, then maybe it's the treonine. So it really, that's the trial and error bit.
Fantastic. And the obvious thing is with eczema, just get rid of the highly toxic home care products, and
yeah,
to throw that in there. That's just what I've learned, and I tell people that's something we can control. Will it make a difference? Trial and error, but it's going to make a difference in some way.
Yeah, contact dermatitis is often mistaken for an eczema. You come in contact with it and you get the things that go wrong. You stay away from those things. You don't come in contact with it, and you stay well. So the skin doesn't get damaged. So it's often seen as eczema. Yeah.
Okay, great. Nathan, asking about acne, which we covered in the first question. So I think your question has been answered, Nathan. Viv, I've been taught that a moisturizer for oily skin will balance.
A moisturizer for oily skin. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, an oily skin still needs moisturizing. I don't know if you go back to that structure of the skin, the sebaceous glands produce those oils. Now, often with harsh cleaning of the skin, because you kind of feel, I want to get rid of all this oil, you're stimulating those sebaceous glands. You're not calming them down. And so by stimulating those sebaceous glands, they then pour out oil onto the skin. So by using harsh cleansers, particularly, and then saying, no, I'm not going to use any moisturizer, you've got this really Sahara desert skin, and you've got these, fountains of oil coming up through the sand and spreading out across. So it just makes it worse and worse. Whereas if you calm the skin with a correctly pH balanced cleanser and then still moisturize, those oils are not going to be causing the skin more oily, to become more
Great.
oily.
And that's why we have our normal to dry and our oily to combination. So, and that works so well for that reason. Bjorn just throws in a comment here, which I agree with completely. So often people are using soaps that are just stripping their skin of all the oil. Our skins need that oil, and it's such a critical role where our skins, they need that oil. So make sure whatever soap you're using isn't stripping that oil every time you clean yourself. Last question here, Barry. Psoriasis, head to toe. You might need more information to give an answer on that. If so, that's fine too.
Yeah, psoriasis, I mean, first off is Omega, and second off is carotenoids. I mean,
so the oils.
Psoriasis is almost certainly on the spectrum of autoimmune. And so you want to calm that all down, and that's your carotenoids. And the omegas, because they are anti-inflammatories, they're going to, assist in that whole process, but also provide the oils that are necessary for a more normal skin in amongst it. But psoriasis doesn't only affect the skin, it can affect other organs. And so you do need to be looking at it from the inside as well. So the carotenoids on that score.
Fantastic. So just to summarize, make sure that you have a good skincare regime that is feeding your skin from the outside. And then it's the oils to feed it from the inside. And that just always brings us back to core nutrition. That's where it all starts. The omegas, the carotenoids, the tree oils. And you can always add extra things like the vitamin E and other things like that. But it just amazes me, brings us back to the same thing every time. Core nutrition is the base. Then you can start your trial and error, but don't start your trial and error without that base. Have a good skincare regime, and then just do the natural thing that you can control, which is to sort your home care out, non-toxic, non-caustic home care. So Barry, I just want to say thank you so much. You are awesome. That was a great session. To you guys on the call, thank you for your questions. I'm sure you guys learned something that you have to take away with you. To the guests on the call, I hope that was valuable information. If you have further questions or want to pick up the product or get involved in this Neolife community, please just reach out to the person who got you onto this call, and we would love to have you either as a customer or part of this Neolife family.